Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we have a ton of Battlefield news to cover. Everything from aim assist being nerfed and changed to a full confirmed weapon lists. We get to see some of the movement changes. There's just a ton of stuff to go over. So let's get going over it. If you enjoy the content and you want to follow everything about Battlefield 6, hit the subscribe button. Be sure to hit the like button as well. Swing by stream. I stream every single day at twitch.tv/enders and this YouTube channel. All links are in the description. And of course, let me know what you think about all this stuff as well. The first thing I'm going to cover has to do with console aim assist, which I'm sure pertains to a lot of people watching this video. And it's actually super interesting what DICE said in this article from wellplayed.com. They call the new system they implemented in Battlefield 6 Aim Assist 2.0, and, quote, "We're taking real-time renders now. We moved away from squares, boxes, and spheres to capsule-oriented meshes for aim assist. We've really upped the level of consistency and performance across the board. We're going very light with aim assist. We're not adding rotational aim assist. We actually removed zoom snap, which was in 2042, as we believed it was too mechanically heavy. We want to humanize aim assist, as we call it here internally. At the end of the day, aim assist is there to assist the player, but we need player input to even activate the system. We want the player to feel good about what they're doing in game, achieving those kills, and they feel like they achieved it, not some system or code that achieved it for them. So that's our differentiating point, and that's our approach when it comes to a design standpoint of what crossplay is and what crossplay means for Battlefield. We have some really cool, interesting, and unique ideas and implementations that are maybe counterintuitive to what's found in other products out there. But again, aim assist is always a hot topic, no matter what game you pick, whether you're a COD or Apex player or whatever. We're really excited about the solution we have, and we're focused on what feels works best for Battlefield. The article goes on to state that Ripple Effect also had some internal workings to do with aim assist. They call their system, or their philosophy, the Battlefield Triangle, where, quote, aim assist is interconnected in all scenarios possible for controller players, infantry versus infantry, infantry versus vehicle, and vehicle versus vehicle. This is coming from Battlefield Bulletin. Quote, they have their own set of unique parameters, settings, and tunings when it comes to aim assist, so we have a holistic controller experience, and the first feedback we received was, I don't feel the need to switch to another input anymore. I feel like the controller as a whole, with everything that Battlefield offers, vehicle gameplay, infantry gameplay, whether I'm fighting vehicles, I'm in a vehicle myself, I don't have to switch inputs, and that was a great thing to hear. We want vehicles to maintain power. We don't want to have this auto-aim system where you have a rocket launcher and you're just blowing up tanks left and right. We understand that infantry is the deadliest anti-vehicle counter that exists in the game, and we want it to be respectful of that. We also want to provide some assistance when it comes to certain aspects of vehicle combat. So can I just say from a baseline, this level of understanding that aim assist is a problem in modern games and their delicate approach to this situation and issue is absolutely paramount to the success of Battlefield 6. One of the biggest potential issues with Battlefield 6 that looks like it isn't going to be an issue at all was aim assist. When you look at modern FPS games and a new one is coming out, one of the things that comes up all the time is, oh my god, I wonder how they're going to balance aim assist. I hope aim assist isn't going to be overpowered. So just the fact that DICE is being so careful and so transparent with their approach to implementing aim assist in Battlefield 6 gives me great confidence that Battlefield 6 is going to be one of the most well-balanced cross-play experiences we've ever seen in the modern FPS timeline. Specific mentions of them not including overpowered and ridiculous systems like we see in Call of Duty, like rotational aim assist, is absolutely essential. I cannot hammer that point home enough. Rotational aim assist has been the scourge of Call of Duty for the longest period of time. Next up, I want to talk about some movement nerfs. Of course, this was an incredibly controversial topic of discussion from the Battlefield 6 beta, whether or not the movement was overpowered, whether or not it needed nerfs. But because the NDA lifted on some footage, a lot of creators were posting videos today. Some of you might have seen some from Silk and some of your other favorite YouTubers like Jack Frags. And I found a clip from the Equa's channel. I'll link his channel in the description. Full credit to him for this clip. And it shows a lot of the movement / aim down sights penalties that were implemented from the BF6 beta to whatever version of the game they are playing currently in this footage. I'll put up a crosshair on the screen so you guys can understand where the center of the screen is, which is super important because the point of aim isn't tied to the screen center, which means your bullets aren't going to the screen center. They are going to wherever your weapon's sight is pointing. Now, the Equa here is using iron sights, so pay attention to the front sight post of his weapon. That is where the bullets are going. And as you can see, whenever he is jumping and landing into a slide, or even just performing a basic jump peek, there are massive sway penalties to basic aggressive movement options, and this is extremely concerning. I don't want Battlefield to be Call of Duty, I don't want the movement to be spammy, but he isn't spamming anything here. He is simply trying to use an aggressive movement option for the first time, and the game will not let him, and is heavily penalizing him. This, in my opinion, is blatantly over-nerfed and is completely unwarranted. The movement in the Battlefield 6 beta had absolutely nothing overpowered about it. Yes, there were exploits. That has nothing to do with the real intended movement of the game. Fix the exploits, and we can have a discussion about the base movement. And the base movement, being sprinting, sliding, jumping, whatever have you, was actually, in my opinion, extremely well balanced. There were harsh penalties in place that penalized aggressive movement already, and I don't see any reason to further penalize the movement. The way the current nerfs look in whatever build the Equa was playing, it just seems like if you try to be aggressive in this game, you're just gonna die. And that's not fun. Like, who wants to play a game where the meta is just sitting still in a window or on a head glitch, waiting for people to walk into your sights? That isn't how any of the best Battlefield games ever played. BF3 didn't play like that, Battlefield 4 didn't play like that, and really, no Battlefield has ever played like that. So I really hope they reconsider some of the movement changes and some of the penalty changes they made in this current build of Battlefield 6, because again, in my opinion, further nerfs were unwarranted, and the nerfs they implemented in this new build are just too heavy. Keep in mind, all the sway, all the wobble, all the sight movement is actually changing where your bullets are landing. And also keep in mind, he is not spamming the movement. He is doing a lot of these actions for the very first time, and he is being heavily penalized. And heavily penalized to the point where using any sort of aggressive movement is simply not going to be possible, outside of maybe 0 to 3 meters. And I'm not saying using aggressive movement or jump peeking or whatever should be effective out to 100 meters. What I am saying is, I don't agree with any further nerfs, and I think they might have overdone the nerfs with the current movement in this current build of Battlefield. Now, I understand there's still time before the game releases. Changes are still possible. This isn't the final build. But I do have to say, I disagree entirely with what I'm seeing from a direction standpoint with the way they're implementing movement nerfs and the way they're implementing the penalties for trying to use some of the more aggressive movement options in the game. There are simply better ways to go about penalizing aggressive movement than how DICE is handling it currently. One example of a really good aggressive movement penalty that was implemented in a previous Battlefield game was the way Battlefield 4 handled penalizing jump peeking. The way Battlefield 4 handled it is the point of aim was tied to screen center, and after landing a jump peek, your weapon would visually move the entire sight and the entire body of the weapon, disorienting you for a small period of time, potentially making you forget where the center of your screen was, which makes you miss. That is a purely visual way to penalize aggressive movement, and it is far better of an implementation than the way they're currently doing it. And I'm sorry I'm going on about this a lot, but this is super important for gameplay. Another thing that Battlefield 4 did better to punish aggressive jump peeking and movement was the fact that you could not shoot your weapon in mid-air while performing a jump peek. You could only shoot once you hit the ground again, and that is exactly what they should do in Battlefield 6. Now, moving on to another topic, sorry I spent so much time on that, but you know, I'm really passionate about Battlefield gameplay mechanics, and I really feel like some people don't focus on it enough. They just think it's not important when it's literally the most important thing about a Battlefield game. The fucking way the game plays. Now, this is coming from Battlefield Bulletin, talking about a hands-on Q&A session with DICE from this article by teaktown.com. They talk about the changes and improvements since the Battlefield 6 open beta that have been implemented into Battlefield 6. All ground vehicles now have a temporary recharging speed boost. Helicopters' engine power has been boosted. First-person view in vehicles has been improved. They're now just as viable as firing in third person, apparently. The shotgun from Battlefield 6 now takes more shells to score a kill. DICE has made several adjustments to the way weapons behave, with recoil and firing characteristics more accurately reflecting those on the chosen weapon. There have been changes to the range differentiation between weapons. There have been adjustments to the movement mechanics, which we already discussed. There have been back-end and server-side updates to hit detection and hit registration, as well as netcode. DICE has increased inaccuracies when firing while jumping or sliding, which again we already discussed, and Operation Firestorm in Murak Valley include a, quote, wide variety of terrain and structures that provide a lot of cover. Next, we have a full list of weapons via Charlie Intel. This is coming from Battlefield Bulletin yet again. According to this, there are 41 primary weapons, including 4 pistols as well, and there are over 50 weapons, including launchers, throwables, and melee weapons. Some people are critiquing Battlefield 6 because a lot of these weapons are not using their real-life weapon names. I think some of the vehicles aren't using their real-life names as well. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything we can actually do about that. That's some sort of like licensing legality issue, if it's off the top of my head. So I think that's up to EA to fix, and I don't think they're going to fix that. And lastly, we have an explanation as to how Battlefield 6's new Escalation mode actually works. It supports 64 players. It basically takes Conquest as a concept and it, quote, ramps it up further. Instead of 5 capture points, there are now 7, and in order to score a point, a team must hold a majority of the control points until a meter fills up over time. Once the meter hits 100%, your team scores a single point. First to 3 points wins. It does sound like quite an interesting game mode, and we'll just have to see how it plays once we get our hands on the game. So that's going to do it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoy the content, if you want to follow Battlefield 6, and maybe if you want a little bit of a different perspective on things, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let me know what you think about all this stuff. Also, swing by a stream. I stream every single day at twitch.tv/enders and this YouTube channel. And I will see you guys in the next video.